Computer. Now we
Hey,
got it.
Okay.
Thank you.
great. Thank you. So great to be back here again, Mike, partnering again for another wonderful, wonderful year. We've been all over the globe, Cuba, Italy, China, Egypt, Ireland, and now heading out. Oh, Iceland,
Hmm.
Croatia, and now we're heading out on a Tyrolean treasures, Austria, Germany, and Italy during the Christmas market. For those people who haven't been on one of these programs before, these are what I class as international awareness programs. These programs are designed to go overseas to learn about different destinations, completely different than home. Meet locals, learn a little bit about maybe a spot of economy, and travel with like-minded individuals. We've been doing this for at least 10 years. And in 2025, it's no different at all. December the 6th through to the 14th, we're going over to Austria. This style of program is called, the way that the program is planned is called a cruise philosophy on land. What do I mean by this is very similar to you going to Baltimore, going to Miami or Texas, Houston, getting on a cruise ship, you unpack the suitcase, take the creases out of your clothes and relax and visit a port of call every day. After that, usually for a 7 day period. Well, we duplicated that a little bit by flying over to a location such as Innsbruck, a sleepy little Tyrolean town at the foot of the Tyrolean mountains, where we'll unpack our suitcases, take the creases out of clothes, and relax in one hotel for 7 nights. It's beautiful, no constant packing and unpacking. One day we go northbound, another day we go south, east to west, experiencing different cultures and different traditions, which is wonderful in today's day and age. And yeah, when you come back off tours, you can wander out into Innsbruck, find that favorite bar, and wander the Christmas markets, which is only a hop, skip, and a jump away from our hotels. So that's what this is all about. December the 6th through to the 14th. But I do want to make a distinction. Yes, it is during the Christmas markets, but there's so much more than just Christmas markets on this program. We have Neuschwanstein Castle, we have Munich, we have Salzburg. Excuse me, we're crossing the Italian Dolomites, the Italian Alps into Italy, where we'll see Uzel the Iceman, and we'll see pictures of that in a moment. We've got an extension up to Bratislava. Yes, throughout this area, you'll find Christmas markets upon Christmas markets, some of them during the oldest in Europe. But there is so much more again than just Christmas markets. But what this will bring out is this pro. Oh, I apologize. If I could ask a favor, could you hold your questions to the end? As is a sizable amount of people online, as you look at your screen and you put your mouse up to the top, a toolbar will pop down. In the middle of that toolbar, to the slightly to the left, you'll see chat. You feel free to, as we're going along this presentation, use that chat feature and type away any questions that you might have. And I promise, before I leave this evening, I will answer all chats, and then also, if you're not proficient in that, we'll open up to questions verbally, and I promise to answer them all at the end of the presentation. So if I could ask that favor, hold your questions to the end, especially if it's verbally, I'd appreciate it. By the time we arrive there, the majority of your questions will already have been answered. We're going to go through the program
Here
briefly.
in the oven.
We could go through it extensively and still be here tomorrow, but we've got about 110, 120 slides. It should give you a good idea of what you're going to experience on this program. Been in this region numerous times. Innsbruck is one of my favorite locations in Europe because of its accessibility just because the majority of the downtown section is pedestrianized. But the mountains around are just spectacular. And we'll see some of that in a moment. So why don't we head out to the Tyrol from the comfort of our armchair or the Carroll County Chamber of Commerce conference room and experience this particular program. An experience a warm and inviting, friendly people. Yes, we are going into a beer culture, but also fabulous wines along the way. We'll have breathtaking scenery as we see the Alps, the Tyrol, the Italian Tyrol, the Italian Tyrol or Dolomites. Will experience wonderful culture and tradition, and we'll see this on our program as we have a wonderful show. We've got the imperial cities. Here we're looking at Salzburg, imperial cities with history spanning centuries upon centuries, and a warm and inviting, friendly people, part of the European Union. Virtually everybody in this region does speak English. If in doubt, go to the younger members of society. They all do. We'll depart out on day one on an overnight flight out of Dulles bound for Germany and into Munich. And you can see here on our map, we're in and out of Munich. From Munich, we'll pop over to Innsbruck. You can see it there with a red 7. This is an ideally located destination for our cruise philosophy on land. Just across the Brenner Pass and through the tunnels, we're in Italy. 30 minutes, we're in Italy. 30 to 40 minutes, we're in Germany. It's great, and there's so much to see in and around the the Austrian section where we are. You'll see there yellow dots for the tours, and you'll see green dots that we'll see on the extension itself. Upon arrival in Munich, you'll be met by your tour director and guide. They've forgotten more about this destination than we will ever know. They're gracious, well-mannered, knowledgeable, and they're some of the best in the industry. And they are your personal concierge for this particular trip. We have modern air-conditioned motor coaches for all tours and transfers on the program, high visibility windows, reclining seats, and AV systems on board. And from Munich, we'll head along those German autobahns, take a right and turn south through the Tyrol, through the mountains and valleys into Innsbruck, and welcome to Austria and to Innsbruck. Innsbruck is known because of the Inn River crossing through the center of it. The Inn River is a milky, greenish, sometimes blue river, dependent on how many minerals are coming out of the glaciers that feed the Inn River itself. But this is the beauty, and the mountains that wrap all the way around Innsbruck. And this is your home for the next 7 nights. As you can see, pedestrian precincts throughout. The first night, check into the hotel. And immediately I say, get out there and experience. Head out maybe into the Christmas markets. The Christmas markets is downtown in the old UNESCO heritage location, by the Christmas tree, by the Golden Dackel. The Golden Dackel is the golden roof building, which we'll see on our city tour on day 3. Rest up, relax, take it easy. Day 3 will be upon us, and after breakfast, we're on our city tour of Innsbruck. Again, we'll find a blend of this region has been occupied, has been governed by so many different natures and cultures. We've got Austrian, we've got Austro-Hungarian, we've got Italian, we've got pure German, and it's each entity has left its mark on this region and on Innsbruck. And we're in the main pedestrian, main center with one of the Roman artifacts in the center. On our city tour, we'll head into the old town itself. We'll see the main clock tower, which is the entrance of the old town with its Baroque onion dome style roof. After that, we'll continue to the Golden Roof or the Golden Dackel building, where we'll see the shops waiting or stocking for the afternoon event and evening event. And as I mentioned, each location, virtually every location we're going to, will have a Christmas market event. But the beauty of it is you're right there in Innsbruck for this one to be able to go backwards and forwards and backwards and forwards. We'll also see the Roman Triumph Arch, which we're looking at here. We'll then head into Austro-Hungarian history as we get into the Hofburg Imperial Palace. We'll pop inside with our guide and we'll learn of the palace and the Hofburgs. It's an opulent palace, almost like Versailles, almost like the ceilings of the Vatican and the Sistine Chapel. You'll find gold dripping off of the walls, exotic wood floors, marble from all over the world, and history spanning centuries inside. After that, we'll usually trace down the Inn River, arriving through to the Olympic ski jump. Innsbruck was a host of the Olympics. It's been on a couple of times, the last time in 1976. And we'll see the ski jump itself. It's a one-lane ski jump. Now, whether there's snow in the valley or not, we'll never know. There'll be snow in the mountain for sure. But it's used during the winter period virtually every day. There's almost a toothbrush bristle that's on the jump that acts as a slippy surface if there's no snow. And you never know, you might get the chance of doing it yourself. Hopefully not. I don't recommend it. Unless you've done it before, that is. If that evening, that afternoon, back to the hotel, rest up, and this evening we've got one of our journey of discoveries. Our journeys of discovery, if you've traveled with us before, you know we try and get you a little bit off the beaten track to learn something about the local way of life, a little bit of culture or history. And this one, we're going to a Tyrolean show and dinner. There'll be a whole host of knee slapping, hip slapping, lederhosen. Will be song and dance. There'll be woodcutters. There'll be singing or musical saws. They play saws. And of course, they will have the famous alpine horns. It's a wonderful show and part of our journey of discovery. Now, the way I've brought this program out to you today is that I'm giving you the included tours first to discuss the included. Again, if you've traveled with us before, we try whenever possible to use the best airlines going into the country, centrally located hotels, provide the most amount of meals possible, most amount of tours, and then give you some free time to wander on some of the days or take an optional tour. We're going to talk about just the included tours just now. Day 5, we have a tour over to Munich. We're going to, it of course is the home of Oktoberfest. We are not traveling during Oktoberfest, but we have locations we can guide you to. You can get very similar an experience to Oktoberfest. But we'll be heading into the English Garden. You'll see the Olympic Park. We'll arrive into the Marienplatz area and into the City Hall, home of the Glockenspiel. And here's the City Hall. You can just see the Glockenspiel here up at the top, the green structure there. And here we are. The glockenspiel, for want of a better explanation, is a huge cuckoo clock. It's a moving figurine story, and it happens in the morning and the afternoon, and we should be doing our best to get you there in time for the showing in the afternoon. But it's song and dance, and yes, it's been going along for centuries upon centuries. Now, here at the Glockenspiel and the City Hall, it's where one of the biggest Christmas markets in Europe is held. And here it is, the Munich Christmas market. It was first celebrated in 1810 to celebrate the marriage of Prince Ludwig, later King Ludwig I. Not Mad Ludwig, who built, that was Ludwig II, who built Neuschwanstein. He married Princess Teresa, and the markets were started to honor that marriage. Here we are again at the Olympic Village. We'll also see the Space Needle, and also, as you can see here, over towards the right, the BMW headquarters. If you've got a spare bit of cash and you need a car, you could arrange a meeting beforehand, go in, just break off of our tour, go into the BMW headquarters, pick up your car, bring it back to Innsbruck, and then Mike's got a private chauffeur where it needs to go for the entire trip. You can wander around. Supposedly you get discounts for doing it this way, and then after you've wandered around in Europe, they'll ship it off. But you'll notice it's an unusual building. It's supposed to be 4 pistons, so 4 cylindrical shapes, and there you can see it. Here we are in the English Garden. Now, we leave you, and you'll have a spot of free time in and around that Marienplatz City Hall area. Just to the side of the City Hall in Marienplatz is the Hofbrauhaus, one of the oldest beer kellers in Germany. I strongly encourage you, once you've got your fill of mulled hot wines and spices from the Christmas market itself, drop over to the Hofbrauhaus. Here you can see they have the, don't pick a fight with one of these ladies. They're the strongest women in the world. Here you can see she's got at least, I can't see what's behind the one on the very top. At least this lady has 7 steins. One of these steins is difficult to carry because it's a liter or a liter and a half. That's a liter and a half of beer. So she's a very strong lady, where you can, go in there, see the umpire bands, grab a beer, sample some of the great food, whether it's sausages or whether it's a roast pork and dumplings. Wonderful. An experience, Bavaria and Munich. That evening, we'll come back to our hotel in Innsbruck, and the next day, we've got our Neuschwanstein Castle visit. This castle was commissioned by King Ludwig II, the one after the one we just mentioned, in 1869. It's a whimsical, fantastical retreat, and it was inspired by medieval legends that he saw. In grand scheme of things, 1869 is not very old in European standards, but it was brought on by Ludwig wanted to bring in operas and musical concerts by Richard Wagner, the composer who he deeply admired. And that's why, one of the reasons he built it. It is an iconic symbol of Bavaria. You may have seen its replica in one of the Disney locations, California or Florida, as this is the Disney castle. But it is wonderful with its, and there he is, Ludwig II, with its beautiful floorings, its carved walls, its hand decorated walls, gilt everywhere, its main banquet rooms. And it is an actual work of it's a work of astoundment how it could have been built on a rock. And this is one of the reasons why King Ludwig, according to history, disappeared, because it is said that Ludwig II was bankrupting the Bavarian state. And it is said that the lake behind Lake Chiemsee is where he has been laid to rest secretly. It was never fully completed, this, and in 1886, he had that mysterious death. Now, yeah, after that, you've got a spot of free time to relax. Maybe head down into Innsbruck. Maybe take the ski gondolas up to the mountains at the back to get a little bit of snow. Head into one of the cafes, Cafe Central in Innsbruck. It is a popular haunt. Great cakes, great coffees, great history. Or, as I mentioned, head up on a gondola ride up into the mountains to get your snow fix and to see the beautiful views from a crisp environment. Or take an optional tour with only you in mind. Now, the first optional tour is day 8, and it's Mittenwald and Garmisch-Partenkirchen. As long as you reserve by the early bird deadline, this is free of charge. After that, it is $149 per person. Mittenwald we'll start with. Mittenwald was still in Austria, and it is a beautiful little village. It's known for its painted houses and its faux painting, 3D painting. It's also known as the village of 1,000 violins. It has been a center of violin making since the 17th century. Now, here you can see the beautiful frescoes on the buildings themselves. Take a look at the building, the hotel right there. Yes, as you go around the outside of the hotel, you'll see guests staying in the hotel rooms in the frescoes. But you'll also find things like the post house with the stagecoach and the horses pulling up painted on the front of the house. There's fairy tales. Hansel and Gretel, Red Riding Hood and the Big Bad Wolf. Take a look at the church there, right in the center of the shot. You can see that stonework that goes all the way up to the top. Well, when you get there, you'll realize it isn't stone. That is all 3D painting. All those alcoves with the statues of the saints, it's all 3D painting. Wonderful piece of magnificence. It's also in the residential areas. Some houses are painted extremely fancy, some lesser so. The yellow house here, you can see beautiful godlike and saint-like images looking down on people walking past. The house with the green shutters at the side, very basic painting, which they've just made the marble work around the windows look like marble, but again, it is paint. We'll see the St. Peter and Paul Church, which I just mentioned, and then continue on to Garmisch-Partenkirchen. Well, in actual fact, Garmisch and Partenkirchen are two separate towns now. Back in 1935, ready for the Winter Olympics in 1936, the Nazi regime decided to break both the two towns apart, and from Garmisch-Partenkirchen make Garmisch and Partenkirchen a separate town. It's known for its beautiful wooden balconies. Again, some of the paintings on the houses. Here we are in Ludwigstrasse. As we wander down the main street itself, it's known for its beautiful and extremely scary ski jumps. There's 3 separate ski jumps on this one. One of them is all humongous. And hopefully, fingers crossed, touch wood, we'll get to see somebody making an attempt. On a clear day, we'll also see Zutspik, the highest mountain. We've crossed over the border into Germany now, the highest mountain in Germany. Now, on day 4, we've got an optional tour through to one of the most important imperial cities as we go to Salzburg on the Salzach River in the Eastern Alps. It's known for its Baroque architecture, and it's also the birthplace of Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. Sorry. Everywhere you are in Salzburg, you'll hear the sound of Mozart music. I will also enter into his home, where he was born on January the 27th in 1756. And here's a shot of his home. As I mentioned, everywhere you look, you'll get Mozart, whether it's music, whether it's his chocolates, whether it's souvenirs throughout. It's a beautiful little town. Indicated here, this is where Salzburg's Christmas market is. And here we've got the Christmas market right here and now. We'll also, whilst we're here, we'll see Mirabell Gardens. Mirabell Gardens, you might remember, it was created in 1730. And it was the filming location of The Sound of Music, where the Von Trapp family sang Do Re Mi as they were leaving the show after winning the competition to escape over the mountains into the freedom of Switzerland. Come back to the hotel after that, relax and take it easy. Day 6, here we are. We're heading through the Dolomites. The Dolomites are spectacular bear-tooth style mountains that are dramatic limestone peaks and unique rock formations. We'll be wandering through the Brenner Pass, which is a freeway, roadway that takes you over high bridges, through tunnels that last miles, tens of miles upon miles, going through solid rock mountains, arriving into Italy and into the Marano district. Now, Marano was known for its, by European aristocracy, for rejuvenation. It was a wellness resort in the 19th century. We'll have a city tour of that before continuing on through into Risa Lake, where we'll see the chapel in the water itself, continuing on into Bozen or to Bolzano. Now we're into the height of the northern Italian wine growing regions. Time to grab a bottle of wine to take back to your room tonight. It's a mixture of medieval, Gothic, and modern architecture, wonderful cobblestone streets, and colorful decor as we wander through the old town on our walking tour. We'll eventually arrive to the South Tyrolean Museum of Archaeology, where we'll meet Otzi. Otzi is the Iceman. You may remember about, I always say 10 years, but I might be proved wrong. It's probably a little bit longer. He was found about 10 years inside a glacier. He'd been frozen for centuries. He is approximately 5,300 years old, and he's waiting to talk to us. I hope I'll still be around in 5,300 years from today. We'll learn about him. We'll learn about where he came from. He actually came, supposedly, I'm not the tour guide, but I've done the tour on numerous occasions, up towards Bratislava. So what the heck was he doing so far away from home? And we'll learn a little bit about who he is, what he was doing, and importantly, how he died. Can you believe by the things inside his stomach and the wounds that are still there, we know a lot about him. Now, important. You don't have to do all the tours. You might wish to one day take a breather and plan just a downtime. That's the beauty of our programs. We've got something for somebody who wants to be on the go every minute of the day, or if you want to take a day off and go and wander, you can do so. You might wish to want to go to Swarovski World. It opened in 1995. I remember when it opened. How is time flying so quickly? And Swarovski World, if you don't know much about Swarovski, there we've got, of course, they used to make wonderful crystal chandeliers. Then the invent of the light bulb put them out of business. And at a board meeting, they were all there figuring out how to get back into business. What can we do? And one of the managers started to play with a couple of chandelier pieces and put one on top of the other and said, well, that looks a little bit like it could be a mouse if we gave it some ears. Hence the Swarovski crystal ornament business was produced. And it's about 30 minutes outside Innsbruck. But you might wish to just do your last minute shopping for cuckoo clocks or a fabulous beer stein. Head in to do your last bit of shopping in a Christmas market. Maybe go to the gym and pretend you're Arnold Schwarzenegger. But before we know it, day 9 will be upon us, and we'll be heading from Innsbruck back to Munich with fond memories of Austria, Germany, and Italy after experiencing a warm and inviting, friendly people with traditions and cultures far different than here in the US, with wonderful, wonderful food, great sausages, great porks and roast meats. We've got dumplings. We've got wonderful ways that they produce potatoes, great beers and wines, and alpine scenes. Now, included features. What do we get for this particular program? We class ourselves as the leader in value price, first class programs in the US. And you get round trip air out of Washington, Dulles. You get 7 nights in a downtown first class or 4-star hotel. You've got daily breakfast with 11 meals, daily breakfast, and 4 dinners. You've got your sightseeing tours of Munich, Tyrolean show and dinner. You've got Neuschwanstein Castle, a city tour of Innsbruck. And if you do sign up, which we highly recommend, before the early bird deadline passes, you also get Mittenwald and Garmisch included. You've got our Journey of Discovery a series, which we've got wonderful Christmas markets, and we got our Tyrolean show and dinner. We've got one of our tour directors per motor coach on the program. Forgotten more about this trip than we'll ever know. On arrival in Munich, all the way to waving goodbye in Munich. We've got air-conditioned motor coaches, deluxe air-conditioned motor coaches, baggage handling for 1 piece of luggage in and out of the hotels and onto the aircraft. Now, all this for $38.49 per person, including, that's double occupancy, including a free Mittenwald tour. Single supplements, limited availability they're an additional $7.99. And for $7.99, you can watch what you want to on the TV without an argument. That price of $38.49, as I mentioned, is that early bird discount. As long as you reserve your spot by March the 7th of this year, that's the price. After that, it goes up by $100 per person to $39.49, plus the price of Mittenwald. So if you do reserve before or on the March the 7th, you save $249 per person. Better to be in your pocket than in our pocket. Just think of the amount of beer steins and and things that you'll be able to get at the Christmas markets with that $249. But importantly, I want to emphasize, do your best not to wait until March the 7th. It's not that far away, but I am convinced, based on history, and I'm sure at the end of the presentation, Mike will agree with me, it's probably going to be sold out by that time, and we'll have no more space left. So do sign up. Keep in mind, from the date that you sign up, all the way up until 131 days before you go, you have a full money back guarantee of all deposits, optional tours, and optional extensions that you've paid to Quest Voyager. Nothing's stopping you from getting yourself on that first bus and putting an X on the calendar. I'm going. Okay. So please keep that in mind. Now, approximately 75% of all our travelers say, I'm already there. Why don't I go and see something else? So in this case, we're going to have our fourth country. So we are going to Slovakia. So we've been to Italy, we've been to Austria, we've been to Germany, and now we're going to Slovakia. 4 countries. Wonderful, wonderful. Now, it is the capital of Slovakia, and it's beautifully placed on the Danube River, which borders Austria and Hungary. Now, 2 nights, and what do we get on this particular program? It's from the 14th to the 16th. We've got 2 nights in a first-class hotel, daily breakfast. We've got our sightseeing tour. We'll see Melk Abbey in a moment in Austria. We'll also do a panoramic city tour of Vienna, and we've got a half-day tour of Bratislava. Our tour director will continue on with you on this extension. We've got our baggage handling in and out of the hotel, and we've got our deluxe air-conditioned motor coach too, which will continue. The price is $7.99 per person double occupancy, or $11.98 for single occupancy. Day 9, you'll wave goodbye to those people who unwisely chose not to come to Bratislava with you. They're going back to Munich to fly home. You're continuing northeast up through the main wine growing areas. Will be backwards and forwards across the Danube, through into the Warsaw Valley. Again, some of the most famous Austrian and European, Northern European vineyards, arriving through to Melk Abbey. This magnificent 900-year-old Benedictine Abbey is waiting to be explored. You'll head into it with your tour director and guide. You'll see its famed library with its beautiful books and paintings, the Abbey Church with its 200-foot-high twin domes, which we're looking at. Now, the Abbey itself is beautifully placed right there on a hillside overlooking the Danube. It originally was started to be built in 1089. So now you can see, as I mentioned, Neuschwanstein Castle is new compared into European standards, but it was completed to its original state now in the 18th century. This was a sort of shall we say, a grand toll booth during its from the 1089 all the way through up into the 18th century. As that's where there would have been a specific toll booth that people who were using the river would have paid a toll to get through and continue on their journey. They'd have paid it to the Abbey itself. The Abbey is one of the best examples of Baroque architecture in Europe. And again, you can see the fabulous faux paintings, all faux painting on the ceiling itself. We'll continue on to Vienna, where we'll have a city tour. Again, the sound of music and opera and orchestral concerts just are everywhere in and around this region. We'll see the Berg Theatre, and we'll see the famous opera house where Mozart, Chopin, Beethoven, all those wonderful composers have performed over the years. You'll see the Ringstrasse, the main ring road around the old section of Vienna, eventually arriving in mid to late afternoon in Bratislava. A little bit like Melkabi, Bratislava, and its castle was positioned right there to gain revenue from the Danube again. And here we are downtown Bratislava with another Christmas market there for you. The castle itself dates back to the 9th century, and it has played various roles as royal residence, military outpost, a toll booth, and we'll be learning of the history on day 10 the next day. And voila, here we are on day 10. We can see the Danube flowing through. We can see the castle itself right there with its ramparts and its fortifications. We'll see the National Theatre, the old town and the city centre. We'll wander through there on our walking tour. You'll see Apollo Bridge and its crossing of the Danube and its modern art architecture, which is either loved or mostly hated in an ancient, beautiful city. After the city tour, time to have a spot of free time, maybe have another glass, this time of Slovakian beer, a glass of wine, do your last minute shoppings, and before we know it, day 11 will be upon us, and there'll be time to go back to the airport. We'll be flying out of either Bratislava or Vienna on this particular program. Vienna is about 45 minutes to an hour away from Bratislava. Now, and heading back to Washington Dulles. Now, US passport holders and citizens. Now, yes, you do need a passport valid for 6 months from the last date of the trip and 2 blank pages. Now, a visa. A tourist visa could be required. That sounds a little strange, doesn't it? But it could be required because the European Union, and we're traveling throughout the European Union on the program. They've been saying for the last 2 years they're going to bring out a travel card. They don't call it a visa, but for the sake of this example, I'm going to call it a visa. And it's called an ETAS card. And it's very easy to fill out. You don't right now, and they've said for the last 2 years it's going to happen, but it never has occurred. So that's why we said it could happen. They're saying that May, June of 2025, they're going to bring it out. If they do, it's not a big problem. It's not going to break the bank. It's about $8 to do. It's all online. It's just clicking onto our website. We will send you the link. If this is something that happens, we'll give you an explanation on how to sign up for it. And unless you are an international villain wanted by Interpol, it'll take you a couple of minutes to fill it out, and you could get the answer back in a couple of hours, 4 days maximum. You get it back really, unless there's something severely wrong. But again, it's currently not in operation, so don't worry about that until it happens, but it's not a whole host to worry about anyhow. We'll guide you through the process. It's good for 2 years, though, once you've got it. So it has a 2-year validity. Now, how do we sign up? As Mike mentioned, we've got 35, 36 people reserved on the trip. Nice and easy. You've all seen the brochure. From the PDF online, you click on the red link and it opens up our booking engine, and it opens up to our landing page. It's a long HTML format that you'll be able to scroll down. I'm just going to give you part of this right now. You know, it's got the chamber's name. It's got a picture of Neuschwanstein Castle. You can click on there for more photographs. You got the dates in there. You got about the trip, destination highlights, and importantly, you've got Mike's contact details. If you've got any questions, get hold of Mike. He's been doing this a long time, and if he doesn't have the answer, he's got my number, and he'll call me straight away, and he will answer the question for you through me. So that's what it is. So you would then click on the book now. If you wish to, too, you can even press this gray button right here to download the brochure. Note that if you do press that, it does kill a few trees because there's a few pages involved. Try not to print that one up because it brings up a lot of ink on your printer. If you want to save it onto your computer, please feel free to do so. Try not to print it up. The one that we've given you and Mike is a lot more concise. But let's just click on the green button for the heck of it. And it does pull up the how many page. It automatically defaults to 0, 0. How many? Right now it's 0. So I'm going to give you 2 examples. So I'm going to click again onto putting in what 2 people in double occupancy, 2 people on Mittenwald. Remember, if you're signing up while the early bird discount is in effect and you want to go on the Mittenwald tour, indicate you want to go and how many spaces you're reserving for. If you don't, we think you're violently opposed to going to Mittenwald and you don't want to go. So please indicate that yes, you want to go by the amount of spots that you want to get. I've indicated that 2 people on Salzburg tour, and I've indicated 2 people on the Bratislava tour. This is, in this style that I'm showing you right now, is for 2 people sharing the same room, but only paying by one method of payment. So somebody is paying for both people, okay? Easily done. So that's it. I'm going to come to another example now and go, oh, now I've got 1 person in double occupancy. It sounds a little counterintuitive. 1 person double occupancy, 1 person on Mittenwald, 1 person on the Salzburg tour, and 1 person double occupancy on the Bratislava extension. You can see that triple occupancy is sold out at the moment, so that's already gone. So again, I'm recommending you sign up sooner than later to avoid disappointment. But this example I'm giving you right now is that there's 2 people sharing the same room, but each person is going to pay their own way, whether it's by a credit card or a bank account. Just one form of payment for this person here. And then, so hypothetically, I'm traveling with my best mate. I'm going to fill out my form and I'm going to pay for it. My best mate's going to fill out his form and he's going to pay for his. Okay? Works out really, really easy. Every time you make a number 1 or a 2 on the right-hand side, we've got a dynamic section here that tells you how much is due at the time of reservation. What's due at the time of reservation? $800 per person, plus any options, optional tours and optional extensions, please. Okay. As we go down here, we've got payment options. You can pay just the deposits amount, and that's the first button right here, and I've ticked it right here. But if you wish to, don't worry, you won't be chastised. You can pay for it all here and now. You can pay for the entire amount if you wish to by clicking on pay full amount there and then. Once you've filled out the how many section, you continue on. And now we're into who's traveling. As I mentioned, I'm going to, for the speed of today, I'm just going to fill out my details here as 1 person sharing a room with somebody else. So we go through here. You can sign in and create an account. It's easy. What you would do is just put in your name, your email address, press send. As soon as you press send, an email will be sent to you. You'll click on that link. You'll make a password, and now you have an account. So easy. But you don't have to if you don't want to. You could sign up as a guest and do that later. So I'm just going to sign up for the sake of it today as a guest. Notice here it says participant information, and there's a 1. If we were on the previous example with 2 people, we'd have participant 1, and we'd fill out all the information for that. And then there'd be a participant 2 and you'd fill out all the information for that. But on this one, as I'm only signing up for one person, and I'm only paying for one person, just participant one will appear. There are ready orange stars. Can you see one by the name right there? First name. These are required fields. You cannot reserve without these fields. So first name, last name, email address, required. So is all the home address, city, town, state, zip code, contact number, and date of birth is a required field. Okay, as we go down, last name that appears in the passport is required. First name that appears in passport is required. The last at the very bottom of this slide, it says middle name. It isn't required because you might not have a middle name or a middle initial. If you do, please indicate it in there because the airlines need your name as it appears in your passport. That might be different than the first name that you put further above at the starting of this, filling this form out. You might go by the name of Alex, but your name is Alexandra, for example. Put Alexandra as your first name if that's what your passport states. As we move down the HTML form, we go to the second section and we get into the gender, male or female. It's a required field. This is, the airlines are not politically correct. They only have two categories. Tick one of those, please. Now, passport number. Passport number is not a required field. Why? Because your passport might not have 6 months left on it from the last day of the trip. We don't want to stop you from reserving your space and getting on the first bus. But if you have to have a new passport, then unless you are changing your name intentionally on your passport, i.e. getting married and changing your name, or you're actually changing your name to something else, when you get your new passport, your name will be exactly the same as your old one. Just your passport number will be different. So if you don't need a new passport, fill out your passport number, issuance date, expiration date, and so on. If you need a new one, once you get your new passport, give us your new passport number and fill out the expiration and issue date. If you have your passport photograph on your computer, you can click on the upload box here. It will open up a window on your computer. You can go through your folders to where your picture's located and attach your passport picture to that box. And I think Mike's helped a few people in the past if they didn't know how to do this. So have a word with Mike if you don't. Now we get into the room type. Single, easily recognizable. Double, so it's one double room with one bed. A double room with two beds, okay? Or a triple. As we know, triples are sold out. But this is what I would probably tick right here because I'm sharing with my mate. A double room, two beds, okay? Roommate's name. So now I'm going to indicate my roommate's last name and first name. So now we know who's sharing the room with me. Gateway. Now, the air on this program is out of Washington, Dulles. If you are flying with the group out of Washington, Dulles, make it easy, just tick that box. You might have family, friends coming from elsewhere. We have in the past had people from all over traveling with Mike and the chamber. If that's you've got somebody who wants to fly out of a different gateway, they indicate that second box, and then in the notes section we'll see in a minute, they'll indicate where they want to fly out of. Lastly, on the air section, you are going to make your own air bookings, and you're going to meet us in Austria. Tick the last one, and for that you will gain an $800 reduction off the final price of the trip itself. Now, last section, and we've nearly finished, and we can open up to questions. Notes. So this is the section. If we've got great Aunt Maud coming in from LA, for example, she's filled this out and she'd indicate here, please fly me out of Los Angeles. If you've got a global entry number, please indicate it here now. If you don't have a global entry number and you travel internationally, or you're going to do these trips with Mike on an annual basis, why don't you have one? They're wonderful. You get TSA pre thrown in as part of it. They last 5 years. And I was in Croatia at Christmas. I landed at the US airport to go through immigration. I could see people doing the forced conga line around immigration. I didn't go in there. I went into the global entry. From getting off the aircraft to getting through to the baggage area, it was 15 minutes. Well worth it. And I strongly encourage everybody to sign up for global entry. It may or may not be ready in time for this trip, but if you get cracking, it could well be ready for this trip. But drop that in there if you've got a global entry or a TSA number. Any dietary needs, drop it in there. And then we've got notification on final billing. You can click this first box right here, and that will enroll you in auto billing. Final payment is at 131 days before we go. So you don't need to remember that date. Upon that date, automatically money will be taken out of your credit card or your bank account. You'll get a reminder to let you know to have money in there, so it's not a shock. But you don't have to do that. You can make manual payment if you wish and just make that. In either case, you'll get a reminder 14 days, 7 days. And if you take that auto billing 3 days before you go to say, look out, money's going to get taken out of your account. If you pick manual payment and you've forgotten, you'll get a respectful reminder 3 days after the date that says what's happened. You should have paid 3 days ago. Lastly, we've got terms and conditions. You can click on that blue link to read the terms and conditions, press that box, press continue, and now we're in the payment section. There are 2 ways to pay. A US checking account, which is easy. You'll drop in here the name of the account, so it could be Ian Scott's trust account. You'll put the routing number, account number, reaffirm the account number, and you'll be able to see you'll be able to see a personal check right here. This shows you, if you don't know, where the routing number and the account number is. As soon as you've done that, press confirm booking and you're done. You can also do it by credit card, Visa, MasterCard, American Express, or Discover. Put the card number down, expiration date, CVV number, billing address, and such. As soon as you press confirm, you will get a pop-up. That pop-up says, thank you for reserving. And it'll have, for additional questions, here's Mike. Here's his contact details. And also have a blue banner that says, would you like travel insurance? Now, before we get to that section, you'll notice right here, I've got a little yellow arrow. This yellow arrow is pointing to We Travel here. That is our merchant account. So when you see your bank statement or your statement from your credit card company, you won't see Quest Voyager. You'll see We Travel. So when you see that, it isn't fraudulent. This is the charge for your trip. Keep that in mind. Now, as I mentioned, when you get that pop-up, great. If you have a strong pop-up blocker, you get an email. We've come into the fact that we know people have pop-up blockers or security on their computers, so you'll get an email. If you don't get your email within a matter of minutes, it's in your spam. This computer that you're talking to didn't go for lunch, it didn't go coffee break, it didn't have a vacation. It's working 24 hours a day, so it's gone. So that email confirmation is with you. If it's not in your inbox, check your spam, and you'll find all the details of the pop-up on there, including the link to the insurance. And here we are on the insurance. You've heard me say this before if you've heard one of my presentations. I hope you all take out insurance. I hope you all waste your money on it. You're not going on this trip to see what it's like to claim on an insurance policy when you come home. You're going out there for fun, camaraderie, enjoyment, and traveling together. But the time you don't take it out is the time you need it. In the last 20 years, I've probably done 80 trips. I've always taken out insurance because I've seen what happens when you don't take out insurance. There's two ways of doing it, but you'll go into the, it'll automatically launch this. You'll put in the state where you live, the departure date, or the destination you're going to, Austria. It only allows one place. So just drop in there, Austria, departure date, return date, initial departure date, deposit of the deposit, sorry, final payment. It will all be on that pop-up or on your email, and then your date of birth and the trip cost. Click on there and press submit quote. Okay, then you'll get the pricing of it. This is the first one we're talking about, is cancel for a reason. The reason to cancel is not a great option. It's a cancellation of you or an immediate family member of an accident, sickness, or death. Don't try them. They're not fun things. It covers trip interruption, missed air or cruise connections, baggage or personal effects, baggage delays. This is what most people use, and I hope that it's the worst case scenario of having the insurance, but the delayed baggage. When I was in Croatia last year, my luggage wasn't. I arrived at Zagreb airport and my luggage didn't, and it didn't for 5 days. Now, I was okay because I took a spare set of clothes with me and I had insurance. So I was able to buy clothing for my stay while I waited for my luggage to arrive. I got trousers, shoes, a belt, a shirt. I got 12 pair of underwear because there was a sale on them. Why not? And did it such a way. And then waited for my luggage to come. It also covers emergency medical and dental, accidental death and dismemberment. Again, not great options. Pre-existing conditions, 24-hour worldwide assistance. And you can take out a cancel for any reason option. Cancel for any reason is exactly as it says. Cancel for any reason. So you might be a lawyer. You've been waiting for the case of a lifetime, it appears, while you're on this trip. You can cancel. The dog doesn't want you to go. You can cancel because it's any reason. Okay. You get a bad haircut. You don't want to be seen out in public. You can cancel for any reason. We recommend you book the insurance at the time of initial reservation, but to qualify for cancel for any reason coverage, you must cancel 48 hours or more before departure. And you'll get 75% of the penalty amount back. Okay. That's our presentation. We certainly hope you'll join us on a terrific year in 2025. And let's have a look to see if we've got any questions. And then we'll open up to anything.
I'm going to ask him.
Hey,
Ian.
Yes.
This is Mike, Ian. We have a question. We have a few people who have to leave. Cancel for any reason. Do you have to get that right when you make your booking?
I recommend that insurance is gained at the time of initial reservation. Why? Because one, it's one less thing to do, but it covers you for anything that happens in a pre-existing conditions format.
All righty. And then the other thing, though, is with that, too, everybody should get some insurance for the trip.
Yeah.
But if they can find it for less money or they have another way to do it, that's perfectly fine, too, right?
We have no issue. We want you to get it in whatever shape or form. By getting it through us, you have us to help you should you need to make a claim or anything like that. But it's entirely, we want you to have it. We want you to be protected, but it's up to you where you get it from.
And I will say one thing. When we did Egypt, I had 108 folks who signed up. And then what happened in Gaza, right? And people were worried, and I had about 30 folks cancel.
Yeah.
And But yet we went and there was not a problem. We didn't have 1 second of being worried, but the issue was we had a few people having difficulty getting reimbursed from their insurance, and they got a hold of me, and I was able to work through you guys to get their money back. So that's the one thing too. If you go, you can go through any insurance company you want, but if you go through this one, Ian's group has some clout. Ian, there were a couple of questions that came in on the chat.
Yeah, I've got one here. How many Christmas markets will be within walking distance of wherever we are? Well, one, Innsbruck, walking distance, it's where you're staying. Each location you're going to, it's within walking distance. The Christmas markets historically are in the center of town, usually in the main square.
Like there was another question too. I forgot what it was.
Describe how walking tours would work if there are 100 people or more on a trip. So we don't have 100 people on a walking tour. So each bus holds there's usually between 45 and 50 seats on a motor coach. We don't put that amount of people. It's usually 40, 42 people per motor coach. Each motor coach obviously has its own driver. Each motor coach has its own tour director. Some locations we go in, we need to have a local guide. So we may have divided groups once we arrive into locations. Depends on rules and regulations. So that's how it works as a how does it work when you've got 100 people? You might not all arrive to the location at the said same time. We stagger locations and such things as that. So do keep that in mind.
And to add to that, if we happen to have that beautiful issue of having that many folks on the trip, I'll email the group and say, who do you desperately need to sit with on a bus? And I'll divide you up like that. If you're really nice to me and send me some Cuban cigars, I'll make sure you get the seat of your choice. If you're not nice to me, I'll put you with all the people that you don't like. So no, but we will try and work that out for you. I saw another question come in, Ian.
Is there a second participant section that should be completed before entering the payment information? So yes, if you remember, when I showed you the how many page, it automatically defaults to 2. Sorry, automatically defaults to 0. Then you go into either putting in 2 or 1. If you put 2 people in double occupancy, when you get into the information on people who are traveling on the trip, there will be participant 1 and there'll be participant 2. So yes, I only showed you participant 1 because I was only signing up for 1 person and paying for 1 person. Okay.
All right, Ian, we have a couple questions here.
Do you want me to
say them nice and loud?
So, couple questions. The baggage. It says that it covers handling 1 piece of checked luggage.
Yeah.
I plan on buying stuff, so I'm probably going to bring like a foldable duffel or something to so I can bring things home. I mean, that's okay. You're just saying that they only handle one bag per person.
And what I can remember from these trips, we get 1 bag we can check that can be up to 50 pounds, and you should really try to make it about, let's say, 10 pounds less than that. Wear like a uniform. Don't go thinking, oh, I'm going to change clothes every six hours. It doesn't work. Heavy coats and shoes, wear them. And then you get your 1 bag that you can carry on. But I've almost always been able to carry on a separate bag with gifts, aside from my other carry-on.
Like I said, I'd love to get like a clock.
Yeah, and
I don't know if I can.
And Ian, can't you also find some help from the guide to ship things back home?
Yes. So,
good.
Yes, Mike. I heard somebody's going to buy a clock.
No, I'm going to get one too.
In the
There are
background.
a lot of people who live like in Grand Rapids, Michigan, who might want to buy a clock.
You can have that shipped home if you wish to. I always like to carry it home with me, but again, Mike's perfectly correct. This isn't a dressy destination. As long as you're wearing clothes, the police will stay away from you. And you don't want to be nude on this trip at this time.
You don't want to be nude. You don't want to see me nude even on the beach. Hey, Ian, would you do me a favor? Will you say that again? Because my beautiful wife's here, that I'm perfectly correct. Would you say that I like her to know that I'm perfect?
Mike is perfect.
Oh, wow, okay.
Now, we
So
have another question here in the room.
So-
Hello?
Okay,
Hello. This is Sandy. Ian, thank you for a great presentation. I have a couple of questions like, say, like you add more people, like it sounds like you will. Will we be staying in the same hotel or will we all be staying in downtown Innsbruck?
you'll all be staying in downtown Innsbruck. We are, but right now we're always, if you've traveled with us before, we don't give hotel names out right now because we're always trying to find out what hotels, trying to better hotels, trying to figure out how to work this. So yes, you will all be downtown Innsbruck,
Okay.
in and around that old town section.
Okay, that's good because
and then
we did
add on to that. I just
we
want
did a Viking cruise and like we ended up staying like
At the airport.
at the airport. And
Yeah.
everyone else was in downtown. And
Okay.
so it was an issue.
No,
So
no,
I just want to make sure that
No.
when we
No.
travel and that we would like be downtown if we have other friends join us that we would all be in the same area and maybe not the same hotel.
Yeah.
That's
Cindy, you
all.
know what we would do?
Okay.
Again, hang on. I would definitely look to see what buses, who you want to be on the same bus with. And then it would only
Right.
make sense if Ian's group made sure that people on whatever bus were in the same hotel. No one's going to get stuck off at the airport or something.
Okay, right. Thank you, because we do have one other couple right now that's definite. So
Wonderful.
we would definitely want to be with them. So,
You
but
have
they're not
systems,
on this call.
and Mike knows about those systems to make sure that people who travel together do. And again, the notes section, Sandy, you can drop in the notes section traveling with and put their names in there. too.
Okay. Oh, that's good. Thank you. Thank you.
I've got
That's
something here.
perfect. Thank you.
Again, yes. I've got another question. We will be staying in Innsbruck for 7 nights, correct? That was something online too.
Such a beautiful town.
Some of the beautiful photos appear to be from drone high above. Do we see high level views of cities? So some of them are from bell towers. Some of them are from a drone scenario. Some of them are from the mountains around. So the one of the Golden Dackle, for example, we've seen a couple looking down on it. We won't see the Golden Dackle or the Golden Roof building from down below because you've either got to be a roofer or you've got to have a drone to do that. But there's a lot that we'll see as we go along the roads, viewing down into there and such things as that.
As I take my fingers off of it. Ian, we had another question here in the room. I got one more question here.
Yeah.
If we were to do all of the excursions, the offered excursions, is there enough downtime? Do you know what I mean? I know you had mentioned like if you want to be busy the whole time, do all of the excursions, but is there still downtime?
It's Ian, I think I can answer that. I've been on enough of these trips. There's as much downtime as you want, but almost every time I go on one of these trips, I normally take one day and say, you know what, I'm just staying back to just chill because they want you to see as much as they can. So you're kind of moving, and there's also downtime. I got to admit, when you're on the bus, you take a bus ride. I take naps there. But you need to look at the different tours that we do. Like that one going to Italy in the mountains. We didn't do that last time when we did, but now I want to do it. So, but it's tough because they want to try to have you, at least I think I'm answering this thing the right way, Ian. You get the most out of it if you go to as many places as you can.
And the beauty of a cruise philosophy on land, I'll take that one step further, Mike. The beauty of a cruise philosophy on land is there's no constant packing and unpacking. So, you might say right now, I'm going to do all the tours. And I strongly recommend if you feel the energy, do that. But one day you go, I just maybe don't want to go on that tour just now. Sadly, there wouldn't be a refund from it, but you're not going to lose. You're not going to miss the bus to go up to the next hotel. You're just going to be able to stay downtown, stay in Innsbruck, and just relax. But evenings, there's downtime, and there'll be free time on the tours themselves. So again, it's up to you on what you want to do, and try and figure out the program.
Actually, on the last trip that we did to Croatia, Marcia and I decided one of the days, and it was a really great tour. We just wanted to kind of chill.
Yeah.
And we stayed back at the hotel and we had a wonderful day. We walked along the water into town and they were having some, was it like a chestnut festival in this little town? Chestnuts don't taste that good when they roast them, but the atmosphere of it was really cool. We had a blast. The only trip we've ever done where you have to go on every tour is Cuba. We did that 3 times and they want you to. You've got to do it because you can't look at that as just a chill place to go. You've got to go on all the tours. But
For education.
Yeah.
any more questions out there in the etherland?
I've got one here. What's the weather like? It's a $1 million question. I say in jest, if I knew the correct answer to that, I wouldn't be talking. I'd have the lottery every week. I'd have the lottery numbers every week. But having said that, not to avoid the question, if we use history, it isn't going to be a shorts destination unless you live in Alaska. So it's going to be based on the regions we're going to, 40s, mid 40s, high 40s, low 50s in the day. Having said that, I was just in Croatia at Christmas. It was 67 in the day, unheard of. So there's something to be said for global warming. But it may or may not be snow in the valleys below. It will be snow around, but it may or may not be. There were some photographs that you saw there taken at the Christmas markets with no snow around. But sooner than to dwell too much on what the weather could be, it's better to say what to take with you. So it's layered clothing. So nothing too heavy. What we've got right here on the questions page, this was a trip that I was on with a group in Normandy, Northern Europe, Northern France in December. This is the style of clothing that I think you'll be wearing. Again,
That's it.
you never know, but it's layered. Jacket, sweater, t-shirt underneath. If it's warm outside, air conditioner will be on the motor coach. If it's cold outside, heat will be on the motor coach, and you'll be able to take clothing on and off based on what the weather is alike.
Ian, I've been praying for like a hallmark weather where it's nice and then in the evening there's that light snow that always comes down and you never get snowed in unless you meet the love of your life. If you're not going with the love of your life already, we're going to get a little bit of snow for these Christmas markets. I'm telling you, it's going to happen. Not too much, but we'll get enough. I'm promising it. Any other questions? So we're all good?
Great.
Ian, I want to thank you so much for spending the time with us. I want to thank all of you guys in Zoom world, whether you're here in Westminster, out of the area. Ian, you should meet my brother Larry. He's up there. He's from Grand Rapids, Michigan. And
Right.
you know what? I'll ask a question for him. He's had a bit of an issue with his foot. I'm not going to get into it. And Larry, please don't get into it blow by blow. Nobody really wants to hear that. But I do want to know, what's the stress of the walking on this trip, Ian?
Yep. That's a great question. So this one is a 2 out of 4. So there are uneven surfaces, there are cobblestones, there are walking tours, there's on and off of buses. But it isn't, providing you with a backpack and a yak to go trekking in the Himalayas. But you should be a proficient walker to do it. There is some of the walking tour, you'll be stood in one place for 15, maybe 20 minutes, looking at something as you're being given conversations and commentary on such things as that. But other than that, again, it shouldn't be an issue. But in the conversation of somebody's going with an injured foot, if one day gets too much for you, you can take the next day off, and again, you can just rest up at the hotel.
Thank you.
You're welcome. At that, I'd recommend that everybody signs up sooner than later. Get on that first bus. Take advantage of that 131 days money back guarantee from us. Deposit options, optional extensions. You'll just no questions asked on that all the way up to 131 days. Thanks for coming, and look forward to having you travel with us.
Were there any questions that we didn't get to? Everybody's good?
Everybody's on.
I don't want anyone to think that we're blowing them off.
We've done all the we've done them all online.
So we're okay? All right, Ian, thank you, Ian. I'm looking for a lot of reservations to come in. Larry, you have a great one, okay?
Take care, everybody. Have a great
Bye,
evening.
guys.
Bye-bye.